So blame the Aggie roots. I'm going to start with howdy. Okay, so to start off, we're going to start with an exercise, okay? So I want all of you to please close your eyes. All of you. People at the back, I see you. Please close your eyes. Okay. And I want you to imagine a leader. Picture a leader. What does that leader look like to you? Hold that thought. Open up your eyes. So give me a show of hands if that leader looks like a CEO to you. You know, someone in a suit, confident, right? Lots of money, yeah? Show of hands if that someone looks like to you as a CEO, right? So the majority, okay. Show of hands if that person looks like an entrepreneur to you. You know, someone with jeans, hoodie, super smart, probably someone like Mark Zuckerberg, yeah? Show of hands if it's an engineer or a doctor, you know, someone who's in a hard hat and a vest or a lab coat and a stethoscope, leading people or saving lives. Okay. A show of hands if you saw yourself. Okay. Very big difference. Okay. Now the good news about this is not too long ago, I didn't see myself either. When I was asked this question, what I saw was the figure of a leader, the characteristics of what made a leader, but with a blurred out face. Now the better news is that as time passed by, I took a hard look at myself and I made some changes. And with these changes, with time, that blurred out face started to look more like me every day. And if I had to choose one word or phrase to describe the changes that I've made, I would use the word self-empowerment. Fancy word, but what does that mean? According to an author on the Huffington Post, self-empowerment is taking control of your own life, setting goals, and making positive choices. Now, to a lot of you, this is going to sound like a cliche. Easy to say. What does that mean? What do we do? And this is what I'm here to tell you today. How self-empowerment helped me become who I am and get to where I got to today, and how it can help you develop your own success story. For me, it all started when I was a sophomore in university. My professor calls me to her office, and she says, Meera, there's this leadership award that I want to nominate you for, a leadership award that only 8 chemical engineers get to take home. And as part of the nomination package, I want you to write an essay. And my response, I laughed. Is she joking? Me? Why would she nominate me for this? What makes me so special, right? But I didn't want to get on her bad side. She was teaching me a course that semester, and I sure did want to pass it. So I put it on my to-do list, right? And I went home and I wrote that essay. I wrote a 3-page essay in 30 minutes off the to-do list. Done. I go the next day and I give it to her, and she looks at it with utter disappointment. Okay, and she sets it aside and says, okay, so now I want you to go back home and write it again, but this time I want you to write it like you mean it. I want you to write in that essay why you think you deserve that award. And I said, okay, fine. And I went back home and I did that. And I submitted it. A few weeks later, she gives me the call. Meera, you got it. What? Okay, and the next thing I knew, I was on the next flight to Atlanta. And the funny thing about this story is that that award opened up so many other doors for me. But what does this mean? This made something in my brain click. If I hadn't believed in myself, I was so close to saying no and not taking this seriously, that it was so close to saying, I'm not good enough, I'm not going to do this, that it would have taken this opportunity away from me, and I wouldn't have gotten this. I wouldn't have gotten all the other opportunities that came after that. And the question goes back to you. How many times have you missed out on opportunities because you believed you were not good enough? So I took a vow, and I said, I'm never going to do that again. I'm going to look at things from a different perspective. So a couple of years roll by, and I'm a senior. And for those of you who don't know, I'm a chemical engineer. So when I was close to graduating, the market or the industry that I wanted to join wasn't so great. So I had to be a little bit creative. So one good day, I walk into the student lounge, and there was this booth of a multinational organization. And it had this plaque on the front. electrical and mechanical engineers only. Okay, not for me. But behind that desk, what I saw was an alumni, an old colleague of mine. So I walked up to him. Hey, how you doing? How's things? How's life? Okay. Would you mind if you can just slip my CV in that pile over there? But Meera, you're a chemical engineer, and this is what they're looking for. I mean, even if they were to read your CV, I don't know what kind of job they'll give you. I said, look, the best thing that can happen, they give me a call. The worst thing that can happen is that they take my CV and throw it in the nearest trash. No harm, no foul. We tried. He said, okay, if that's what you want. And he put it in. And a few weeks later, I get a call. Meera, you've made the cut. We have a lunch with the managers, and this is your opportunity to pitch yourself and tell them why they should recruit you. Okay. So I went to that lunch, and I pitched myself like my life depended on it. Did I overpromise in a few things? Maybe. But I sure did convince them that I was the right choice. A few weeks later, they call me. Today, at 23 years old, I'm a department manager in a multi-million-dollar project in that organization. And I can't help but think, if I went to that student lounge and I looked at that plate and I said, I'm not even going to try, it's not for me. If I went to that lunch and said, I'm a chemical engineer, they're never going to give me the time of day. I'm not what they're looking for. How different would have my life ended today? So how does all of these stories, what do these stories tell us? How does all of this fit together? For me, my definition of self-empowerment goes around some blocks. And the very first block for self-empowerment is perception. Perception is everything. The way we view things, the way we view the world around us is everything. If you don't believe in yourself, how do you expect people to believe in you? If you don't think that you can, how do you expect people to believe that you can? And not just there. There's a lot of people that will make it their business to come and tell you what you can or cannot do, or what you should or should not do. But it's up to you to tune all of this out and say, I'm not going to listen to that. I'm not going to let this affect me. Perception of ourselves, of opportunities that are around us, are everything. And they can really open or close so many doors for us. In one of the companies I interned for, they had this initiative, and they said, okay, we want to have more females in leadership position in this country, in this company, sorry. And we want to create an initiative every month where we gather them all around, and we make an event every month where we gather them and we give them leadership activities or team building activities, or even bring in guest speakers whom they can learn from. The first time this event rolled around, 60 people showed up, most of the females in the company. Great. The next month, a little less showed up. And the next month, a little less showed up. And a few months later, 5 people RSVP'd yes, and the rest RSVP'd either maybe or no. We went from 60 to 5. And it killed me, because there they were, these perfectly capable females, full potential, and they were not taking the opportunity that is right in front of them. Why? And it ate at me. So then I said, okay, I'm going to go and talk to them. I'm going to see what's up, right? Why didn't they come? So I went, and the first line of defense that they gave me, we were too busy. Well, we're all busy. I mean, they're not paying us to sit around and do nothing, right? So what's the real story here? Why are you really not coming? And if I had to categorize the answers, I would categorize them into 2. Some people said, look, it's not really catering to my needs. It's a nice initiative, it's a nice idea, but it's not catering to my needs. I need something else. I need something more to empower me. And I said, okay, but you do realize that the people who are attending this initiative are the management of the company. The best thing that you could have done is just participated or answer a question every now and then, and they could get that exposure. You can get that exposure. They can see you. You become a recognizable face. That was an opportunity that you took away from yourself. And if I look at the other answer I get, Meera, listen, my manager told me I'm light years ahead. I need still many years to get to this position. I have a lot to learn. We all have a lot to learn. What are you talking about? This initiative was an opportunity for you to learn that you've missed out on. And this is just a drop in the ocean, people. There are so many examples of people just either having limited perception that they're not seeing opportunity, or they have lack of confidence and self-doubt that they miss the opportunity. When I first entered this multinational organization as a chemical engineer in an electromechanical company, you can bet that the first 2 months were absolutely difficult for me. I didn't know if I fit in, right? I would go into meetings and I'd honestly feel dumb. I mean, people would throw stuff like this at my desk. Where do you begin to read this? Yeah? Top, bottom, side? What is this? And I didn't know, and people expected me to know this. And I had one thought: I should leave. This is not the place for me, I should give up and go. But then the 2 clicks in my brain that clicked before clicked again. Meera, they must have chose you for a reason. Okay, trust the system, try it out, and don't give up too quickly. Give it a real shot and see how it goes. So the next thing I did was I called electrical engineering students that were with me in university, I called mechanical engineering students that were with me in university, and I talked to colleagues at work. Please help me understand. And with time, I started to understand. I wasn't just sitting in a meeting not knowing what they were talking about. I started being part of the discussion. I started leading the discussion. And getting there and doing all of this and putting all the work in, I started to realize gaps, room for improvement, things that I could make better. And I took ownership of this, and I said, okay, let me try. And that got me the exposure with management that got me to where I am today. But if I sat back and said, I'm just a chemical engineer, what do I know? Who's going to listen to me? There's a lot of electrical and mechanical engineers. Who am I to talk? How different would have things turned out? And this brings me to my next point. The next block for self-empowerment, which is opportunity. Don't miss opportunity. See it. And if you don't like it, look for something else. A good friend of mine the other day came to me and said, Meera, I got a job. She's close to graduating. He said, Meera, I got a job. And I don't know if I should take it. It's in a multinational company, yes, but it's outside the city. So I have to go back and forth an hour and a half every day. And I don't know if I want to do that. I mean, it's going to be so much work. I'm like, well, do you have any other opportunities? And she said, no. Okay, then what's the question here? I mean, you know how the market is. Take that opportunity. But Meera, it's so much work. And in 5 years from now, if I do get a family, I can't go back and forth all the time. So how is that going to play out? I probably should not even consider it. I'm like, so wait a minute. So one thing you're telling me is that you have no other opportunities that are with you, and you're passing out on this one, and then you're passing out because you think 5 years from now of something that may or may not happen. You're putting barriers and hurdles for this opportunity before you even take it, before you even explore it. And thankfully, after talking to her down for so many days, she finally said yes, and today she has an offer from this organization. And she has a job and she loves it, right? And this is the problem that I see with a lot of people, and this is why I'm here today to talk to you about this. I see a lot of people that either don't see opportunity or don't explore it, right? And even if you don't like it at the beginning, say yes, explore it, and then decide. What's the harm of that? If you don't like it, say no then. What's stopping you? If you take it and you try it and you don't like it, stop yourself and change. Who's stopping you from doing that? Explore it, because the least that you can get from it is that you learn. And the least that you can get from that is you learn what you don't want. And that's still learning. And that's still an opportunity that you learn from. So the last thing, and I talked about opportunity and I talked about perception, and there is one very important thing that ties this entire thing together. Run at your own pace. A lot of us forget to do that. We all start comparing ourselves to other people. Oh, look, he took his job now and I still don't have a job. I must be a failure at life. Who defines success? Success is relative, right? For me, success might mean in 15 years from now, I want to become CEO. For someone else, like a doctor, for instance, my job or what my goal is that I want to save a life today. Someone might say, my goal is to come back home to a happy family. Someone else might have something even simpler than this, to say, I just want to make someone smile today. It's relative, because we all have different paths and we all have different stories. Who says that you have to graduate at 22? Who says that you have to have a stable job by 25 or you're a failure? Who says that if you're not in a managerial position by 30, you have failed at your job and you're not good enough? Who says by when you should get married and by when you should have how many kids? And I see the females nodding their heads because they know the pressure that society puts on us. Run at your own pace. Tune all of this out and take control of your life. And this, for me, is my definition of self-empowerment. And with that, you get there. But the thing is that I'm still 23, and my entire life is ahead of me, right? And I don't have all the answers. For me, there's so much more to learn and so many experiences to still go through. But what I can tell you, and the reason why I'm sitting here today talking to you guys, is because I want you to realize the things that I've realized that took me years to realize. I want you to realize them now. And I want you to put them in action now. So please do me a favor. Today, before you go to bed, I want you to close your eyes again. And for 15 minutes, sit down and imagine that leader. And I want you to keep imagining that leader and the characteristics of that leader until you see your face. And then the next morning, I want you to wake up and start working towards that image. Empower yourself, because if you don't believe in yourself and you don't run after your own career, no one will do it for you. Thank you very much, and this was me.